really don't have much of an opening statement, except we just got word, separate from what we're talking about with the Valley, that the NCAA canceled the winter and spring championships. I got that, whatever it was, 5 or 10 minutes ago. So what does that mean? That means we won't have a Final Four. That means we have a women's Final Four. Won't have a College World Series on both softball and baseball. No indoor track, no outdoor track, no tennis, no golf. We're done. These are extraordinary times, and I just feel bad for all of college athletics, not just our teams.
So is it too soon to say, or will there be no spring sports competition of any kind?
Yeah, good question, Darn. Like I said, I just got it 5 minutes ago. I haven't had a chance to talk to Doug or Patty, so I don't know what we're going to do about the regular season.
What about spring football for you guys? Are you going to start on March 25th?
Yeah, as far as I know, there's no reason why we wouldn't continue to have practice. Can still happen. It's just competitions. So spring ball would still, I think they start March 25th, if I'm not mistaken, in April 18th, the spring game. That would still be on. We can still practice. So
you still have coaches on the road recruiting right now?
If we do, they should be probably coming off. But I know that the NABC came out and said they should not be recruiting. So if we had people out there, they can come back off. But there's no need for them to be on there now. Yeah.
What about like Dutton and your spring coaches? Are they able to be around the team, or is the NCAA saying you can't be around your team?
No, you can practice. You can practice.
Okay.
But if you don't have any competitions and you don't have a College World Series, I'm not sure. It's just we're up in the air right now. And again, this is just me talking. Haven't vetted this out at all. But we played 15 games, 16 games, 17 games. I don't know where that stands in terms of eligibility. I would hope that the NCAA would look at that and maybe say, you know what, we're going to give these kids an extra year. That would be the right thing to do, even though it may not come out numerically the way it's supposed to. But your spring sport kids who are seniors deserve to have a right, if they want to and they choose, to have that last year. And I hope they would do that. So again, that's me talking. I have no idea if they do that or not.
All right, so just to be clear, I'm seeing the same thing. So no championships, no games, like the Bears couldn't play a baseball game even though there's no championship,
Let me back up because I jumped into the championships right away. What the conference and the presidents decided earlier today was that the spring sports would be suspended until March 30th.
Okay.
So that's where we are. No games, you can practice, but there'll be no competitions for any of our spring sports until March 30th. They'll reevaluate that prior to March 30th and see what we're going to do. But they didn't have this information, so now this changes things. So now we'll just have to go back and see what the presidents and what other conferences are going to do, because a lot of it depends on what everybody else is going to do as well.
How difficult is that for you as an athletic director to literally have things changing by the minute?
Well, it's just unusual. There's no question about it, man. You're trying to inform people. You're trying to tell your student athletes what's going on, and you're trying to be upfront with them. And it sounds like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, we don't know what we're talking about because we don't know what the situation is and how it's going to work. It's been extraordinarily difficult, I'm sure, for the NCAA in making those final decisions and the effect that they have with fans, coaches, everybody involved with the championships. It's again, I may be biased, but it's the single probably greatest sporting event in our country, and we're not going to be able to do that. So it's serious, and there's a lot of good things that you want to have to be able to play in the championships. But the downside is that if someone gets sick and you lose a life, it's just not that important. And I know it's hard for people maybe to understand, and even me. I love to play. I love to compete. I want our kids to have a great time and experience that. But if your child would happen to get sick, you'd think about it differently.
As far as the Lady Bears, just how do you foresee just trying to celebrate the season that they had? Just being able to look out ahead, hopefully when it clears up.
Yeah, we've talked about that already, believe it or not, because we kind of anticipate that maybe this might happen. But we certainly want to do something big. We want to do something that's that the kids would want, and we don't have that answer. But we're going to do something for them. They deserve it, and I want the fans to be involved in that too, because they're a big part of who we are.
So, I mean,
wish I had an answer. I don't have it yet.
So kind of officially you would say, and I talked to Mike at the Valley, so the Lady Bears were the automatic qualifier. So you could say that they were an NCAA or like trips to the NCAA, you could put 2020 down as a year
I
like
would
that.
say so. We haven't even talked about that, but I would say that absolutely we would be the representative. You win the conference championship, you would be the representative. So I saw, I think ESPN had listed some of those conference that didn't have a tournament, that they listed them as the automatic qualifier. So I would think that'd be the same
And
thing on the
I
women's
mean,
side.
he emailed me and he said that the Lady Bears are the AQ.
Yeah, so there you go.
So there you have it. Okay.
Yeah, it's we kind of knew that already. You know, we knew we were going to get in, so that wasn't a big surprise. But just the fact that you don't get to, I think as a competitor, what you want to do is compete, and for our team, who I think is a very good team, to be able to compete at the highest level, which we would have been able to, it's just tough. It's just tough.
Let me ask you this, and it may be unfair. I mean, does it seem like the Power 5 conferences may have pulled a little bit of their power to force the NCAA because they were pulling their teams out before the NCAA made its decision? You know, Kansas saying they weren't going, Duke saying they weren't going to go.
Yeah, I think, I don't know that. I don't know. I don't think so. I think when the conferences a day or two ago started not playing, I think they had enough information to know that something was going to happen. So I know when the World Health Organization and those guys were talking with the conference commissioners and the NCAA, they had a lot of data and they had to make that decision. So I think I'm not completely surprised that this happened, and I think they knew what was going on.
Have you talked to any coaches, Coach Mox?
I have talked to Coach Mox, not since officially that they're not in the NCAA. We're not going to play. I've not talked to her. That just came down here. So no, I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody yet. But I don't, as you know, the student athletes are on their phones, they're on Twitter. They're going to know it immediately. So I'm sure that bus ride is not fun coming back from Moline. I'm sure they're devastated. So
Kyle, anywhere in your experience, in your career, have you had anything that even came close to this as far as, I'm sure not anything as widespread as this, 9/11 pops up, and anything at any of the institutions you were at with coaches or deaths or anything that just everything was kind of on hold and interrupted so abruptly?
Not for the length of it. Maybe for a game or two. Certainly 9/11 was the case. I was at Kentucky when that happened. We didn't play the next week. I don't think anything comes to mind that would be like this, where it just completely canceled. It's, maybe back when the war.
Yeah.
Right? That would, but that's a little bit before my time. But we certainly didn't play things, Super Bowls and that kind of stuff in the war. So that's the thing I can closely equate to.
Can't imagine there's a game plan for this either.
I don't know what it is, but you just kind of, everybody gets together and they make rational decisions and try to do the best you can. But it's just unusual, and I hope we get through it quickly, and I hope they can figure out some type of medicine or a cure or something. I know it's a viral thing, so it's probably going to come back, but hopefully not at the strength that it is right now. But some extraordinary things are happening worldwide, and if that comes this way, that's not a good thing.
With athletics right now, practicing and everything, have you guys taken the steps like hand sanitizer and all that for all the teams?
Yeah, I know Mox is, and I hope she doesn't. She's kind of a germaphobe, so she's got all that stuff. She brought it. Team has done it. I talked to the trainers before they left, and I know they're doing all the right things, but what they're recommending we do. So we've got to keep doing that and make sure everybody does the right thing. So, but again, depends on who you come into contact with and different families and where they've been. It's hard to kind of get a grasp on it because you don't know the magnitude of it. So when you don't know and you're not unsure, then you kind of do the mass things to make sure you take care of it when you don't know specifically what the issue is. And I think that's where we're at.
A little bit of a breather, then end of the month, reevaluate where we are with competition. Like you're saying, if things calm down, maybe you can play a couple of games, maybe a couple of series with baseball, possibly. But I don't want to put you on the spot.
I don't know. I think with this new information, what we're going to have to figure out is Yeah. Do we
So like,
do we play without it counting, right?
Right,
Because
yeah.
I wouldn't want it to count against our kids
Right.
if they don't have a chance to go on to play postseason. So if they're going to say, hey, you can play, but you lose eligibility, now I'm getting kind of too far in this because we haven't talked about any of this. This
Right.
is just the first thing that came to mind. I wouldn't want that, again, if the student athlete decides, hey, I'm done, I'm graduated, I want to move on, but I certainly wouldn't want them to lose that opportunity because of this situation. I don't think that's right.
and
So-
you got an MLB draft coming up in June. Are they drafting seniors? You know?
A lot of things. I know the draft is going on. NFL draft, and whether or not those guys are going to go to those, workouts and that kind of thing. It affects everything, and I think, I think people think. Again, just another observation doesn't make it right or wrong. I think people think athletics sometimes is invincible, and that's kind of our release. When things aren't going really well, athletics kind of saves us. But when athletics, now we're involved, people get nervous because we kind of are the ones that can kind of get through all this stuff, and now we're affected. So I think that probably certainly panics people more.
Even before this new information, had you planned on meeting with all of the Missouri State athletes to kind of explain the process, even before this news broke? This
Yeah,
morning?
well, it's just, you got spring break coming up next week, so you got a lot of them that were out, and you had some that were going to be in competition. So the best thing I could do is we just would give stuff out to the head coaches and get to them. But I expect softball's up there. I'll talk to them when I go back up probably, and as soon as women's basketball gets back. The guys were en route to Kansas City in baseball. They're on their way back, so some of them I just can't get to, but I will eventually. But it's going to be hard to get them all at the same time.
But does the deal? So the Valley decided to quit competition before the NCAA
Correct.
said all that. Okay. So
Correct.
and then you were going to reevaluate on the 30th with the rest of the and then this other stuff, the news broke. So that's why. Okay. I just want to make sure I have the timeline.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there's still. We're probably going to have something else come out here pretty soon, I would think. I just.
So we'll be back here at 6:30.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that'll break. Let's go.
All right.